Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock. And yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, guys. So guys, I just wanted to drop in this morning and just share a quick word with you guys. To those of you who are in your waiting season, you're waiting for that door to open, you're waiting for whatever you're waiting on. I just want to encourage you that sometimes action prove that you are expecting, right? I was listening to Bishop Samuel Blakes this morning, R.C. Blake's brother, and so I just decided to piggyback off of his recording because it's so true. It's so true. We can sit there all day long and say, I believe God. I believe God. I believe what you spoke to me. I believe that download. I believe that vision. We can say that all day long. But sometimes God is not going to move until you take a step. Right? So it's like we think we're waiting on God, but really he's waiting on us. Here's a few scenarios. If God has, let's say, given you a vision or a promise that you will be a business owner, right, in a certain state, he's giving you the download and you know clearly where he told you that business will be. Right? And maybe your old hometown, and maybe someplace you visited before. And when you visited that place, you just got that, you knew that would be the place that you would either retire or just live in your future or whatever the case may be. All right. So God has already given you that download. Right? So sometimes what will happen is to show God that we believe what he said and we're expecting that blessing, just sitting there and doing nothing and just, okay, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. When God starts to see that you are researching more and more about that state, that you are now looking for homes, right? You may not have the okay or the nudging yet to go ahead and move. Eventually that will come sometimes. But once you sit still, and this is why it's so important to sit still and turn off distractions, whatever that distraction may be for you in the waiting season, because there are so many downloads that you will get, right? So again, that can be researching homes or the area that you want to live in and the area that you may want to, put that business in, start networking with people over the internet who's already in that state, already doing their thing, but you can start connecting with them now on social media, right? So you see the difference versus you're just sitting there and not doing absolutely anything with the exception of just waiting on God to say, okay, boom, move. By you already putting your hands into it, right? That's showing God that you really believe what he said. You're not just saying it. You really believe down in your spirit what he says. Now, here's where some people can go a little iffy at, right? And if I'm honest, that happened to me once. You feel like God is saying, okay, go ahead and go. But now your mind is playing back and forth. Am I moving ahead of God? Was that really God? No, that can't be God telling me to relocate now because I still got my family here. I still got this here. I still got my job here. So you find yourself in this tug of war of, man, I don't know what to do, right? Because I don't want to make the wrong move. I don't want to go ahead of God. I don't want to drag behind God. The key to that is take a step. Whichever step you take, if it's not from God, he will shut it down. For example, let's say you start to apply for jobs. You feel that God's telling you, okay, go ahead and get a job there. Go ahead and start looking for jobs there, right? Because you may have to work. Of course, if you're starting to build the business, you still have to work. So you may feel like, all right, I think God is saying, yeah, let me go ahead and apply for these jobs. Well, if that's not from God, meaning he's telling you, yeah, I need you to go there, but not quite yet. I need you to sit a little bit longer. He will shut it down, meaning you could put in 1,000 applications. Not one of those applications will get a hit because he's not ready for you yet to move. And then you figure, well, what if that's Satan? What if it's Satan who's shutting down the applications? So then you find yourself back in this other tug of war. Like, what is it? Is it Satan? Is it God? It's one big mess, right? And that's the whole point. it's so confusing because sometimes the voices can sound so parallel that you're like, I don't even know what to do. That is when you got to sit still. That is when you will fast, right? That is when a more clear download will come into your spirit. Anything that God is requiring you to do, trust me, he's going to back it up. So let's just say, even in sitting still in that download, you still feel like, I think it's that. I think he's telling me to move now. I just don't know. Because he knows that Satan is on the other end trying to like really confuse you, he will always back it up. So now what happened is something in your old place, your old state, the place that you're contemplating moving from, will happen that forces your hand to move. So boom, the job that you have in your current place, that will shut down. There can be some type of big family feud that everybody flips on you for no reason. It will make no complete sense, right? But you're so caught up in the emotions of it. You're hurting. So your emotions are now driving you, and you're not hearing from God. And what happens is sometimes God will have to cause a strife because we're so confused and we don't know what to do and we're afraid to take this step. Could it be God? Could it be Satan? So what he don't care about what I realize when it comes to God, whatever he needs us to do, he's not going to really consider our little emotions, right? Especially as women, right? Every little thing hurt our feelings, and everybody's mad with me, and I was just trying to do the right thing, and not everybody did it. God don't care about that. God don't care about our little emotions. He cares about getting his will done. So the point of the matter is, now that you've lost that job, now that that family feud has occurred, when you sit still and get past the emotions, you will realize like, oh my goodness, this happened because it had to force my hand to go ahead and relocate, right? So God saw that I was confused and I don't know which step to take. He saw, that I was, listen, when God is ready, trust me, it's like a levee that breaks. He will literally get behind you and physically push you. Now, again, he's not going to make us, right? So you can still sit there out of fear and be like, listen, sit right there, miss your blessing. Sit right there, miss your blessing. Sit right there and miss your blessing. But for those of you who know what God has promised you and you want everything that God has promised you, listen, fearful in all, you're going to push past that fear. But when you take that step that is proven to God that you are truly you're expecting him, and so he will get behind you, right? And getting behind you sometimes means to send complete strangers to you to help you. Getting behind you means to open that door to that home that you're going to get without even having a job. Mind you, you're relocating, right? So even if you have been accepted onto a job, you haven't been working that long. You just relocated. So in your mind, there's no way in the world I'll be able to get a home in this state because I've only been here 2 weeks. Honey, God will put somebody in place who will show you that home, right? To just let you view the home. That person will also carry the grace of God, and God will use that person to give you a chance that no one else would have ever given you because nothing makes sense on paper. That's how God works. That's how God works. So for those of you, you know that God has promised you something, and I'm just using the relocating as an example. It can be 1,000 things, right? Just plug in whatever your thing is. If God has given you a promise, if God has given you a vision, you got to move your hand. You got to take the step. Don't fear, because if it's not from him, he'll shut it down. He will not allow the door to open whatever step you're trying to take. If any confusion comes upon you and you feel like, oh, well, I took the step. So is God saying no, or is Satan allowing the door not to open because he knows this is the right door? If you're getting that, sit still, fast, shut every distraction down, and you will start to get your proper downloads. When you feel like you have the proper downloads, take a step again. Take a step again. And if God truly realizes that you're confused because Satan and his little friends are trying to intervene, God will allow something, boom, to happen. Either you're going to lose your job, a family strife, something will happen in your old place where now you're forced to leave. Don't worry about it. Don't be fearful about what am I going to do when I get there? I'm going to be all alone. And what if I start this business? I don't know what I'm doing. I promise you, he will put people in your path who will blow your mind. These people will be more faithful and more loyal to you than your own family and your friends. Why? Because God sent them, right? This is not even about you, right? We think it's about us. We're like, oh, I want this business, or I want this, I want that. I want to expand this. So we really think it's about us. And it is. There's a part to play. Yeah, we get to celebrate. But really, it's about God's purpose. So whatever his purpose is, he's going to back it up. He's going to back it up. The people are already there. Just go. The people are waiting on you. Put the application in. They're waiting on you. Write the book. Because some things are not going to, the doors are just not going to open with some things until you take the first step. Move fear out of the way. I know you guys think I'm like this fearless chick, and I'm telling you, 85 to 90% of the things that I do or I'm required to do, I may look fearless on stage or whatever I'm doing, but I'm telling you, it takes days sometimes of preparation. That's why you don't hear from me. You'll see me gone for a week and then boom, a video about something. I'm somewhere. Because I have so much fear inside. Satan's just not going to let you just do things fearlessly that's going to, be a blessing to somebody else. No, he's going to attack you. So that means shut things down. I have to fast. I have to get my downloads. I have to write my downloads down, right? I only write when I get my downloads because then I know it's not me. Because I can be mouthy, obviously, right? So I don't want any of me. So I get my downloads and I write my downloads. Every download I get throughout the day, right? For weeks sometimes, and I just write it down. And then when it's time for me to ultimately, go over my speech or whatever I'm doing, it comes so naturally because it's grace. It's not me. So I get all these compliments like, oh, you just seem like you're flowing. Child, that's not me. That is not me. When I'm making these recordings, I'm moving in spirit, right? So I just hope this encouraged someone. Again, stay in your lane. Don't try to do what your best friend is doing, what your sister is doing, what your brother is doing, because you're going to fail. It's not going to be successful and you're going to stress yourself out, right? Do what God has called you to do. Your purpose, your calling. That's where your success is. Success is not always about money. Right? So for me, success is peace. And peace comes when you're doing what God has called you to do. Right? So I hope this encouraged someone. But you guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.